Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, we go to let pop culture lair.
Happy Sunday and welcome to the very first episode of Dune Prophecy. If this holds up to the HBO standards that we've seen like the last 20, 25 years, I have no doubt that this is going to be a great series. So this is episode 1. Watch party, like I said, whenever I can do them early, I do them. So we're going to be watching this. It just hit HBO Max 4 minutes ago. So for those of you who are part of the Patreon, your link is there. Those of you who, additional to that I've invited, your link should be in your inboxes. So if you would like to join me for this very first episode, you are more than welcome to. Tonight's show is brought to you by Gladiator 2, which will be in theaters this Friday, November 22nd. I will be seeing it on Tuesday. Those of you lucky individuals who are locally here in Las Vegas who wanted to go with me, if you haven't already, you have until I close the store down till 10 o'clock tonight to get your name on that list. Otherwise, I might have some other online opportunities to allow you to get in. But for the most part, it's been a come down, pose with the picture, get your poster, and then I put you on the list for an advanced screening that will be happening at AMC Town Square Tuesday evening. I have highly anticipated this movie, and like I said, we'll be doing a right out of the theater review of it. So let's go ahead. And for those of you who are watching on Twitter right now, please head over to right there below me. You can see it in my name, and also for the entirety of the show, it'll be down at the bottom, youtube.com/the Sci-Fi Center. So I'm going to give people about 5 more minutes to get acclimated, and if they want to be on the panel, I'll get them on here. And then at 6:10, about 4 minutes from now, we are going to go ahead and start the episode. Okie dokie, let's see. No problem, Todd. Clint and his duck, but I beat you to it, so there you go. All right, let's see. All right, we will be watching this obviously on HBO Max. Some people don't necessarily know that for sure. Oh, later on tonight we are going to be doing the return of the Sunday night live stream, and as part of that, I am going to be giving away one of these. This is Absolute Batman #1, the Noir edition. It's black and white. Not only the cover, but the inside. And we will be giving one of these away as part of tonight's show. So be tuning in tonight. It's probably going to be around I'm guessing 9:30 p.m. I'm going to go live. You need to be watching the show or have watched the show to understand how you'll be able to win one of these tonight. But yeah, I will be giving away finally because I've been behind in my giveaways, giving away one of those tonight, at least one of those tonight. Okie dokie, and having a problem with StreamYard again, pushing out the notifications. So let's see how we are doing. All right, so we have about 3 more minutes until we dive into this.
If you look at it, it's drawn like peanuts.
That is somebody else's stream. All right. Hello, Clint. What's going on?
What's up?
Not much. 2 minutes to go, and then we'll go hit the play button. And how long is this episode? Let me see. It is an hour. Wow, this is pretty long. It's an hour and 14 minutes long. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started right at 6:10. This isn't one of those Disney Plus things where you get 35 minutes. I'm hoping it's not just a bunch of like it gives me 50 minutes of the show and then 14 minutes of trailers and all that other stuff and credits and stuff. But like I said, I have not heard from too many people who have seen it yet. And it just aired. Like it's 8 minutes ago. It's live for everybody on East and West Coast. So definitely we're going to go ahead.
That 14 minutes is probably behind the scenes.
Yeah. Reviews and stuff like that, which is fine. I watched that later on, so I want to get the first episode out. So we will not be watching. We'll once we hit the credits, that's when we end. Because I got to get some stuff done here, and then I got another stream happening tonight. So we have 1 minute until we hit play.
Well, I'm about to buy my ticket because I feel like utter crap.
Oh, to that airline I can't mention on the air anymore.
Right.
I was shocked. I was shocked when that was one of the terms that got demonetized. I'm like, what? Wow, fuck. They don't mess around. I mean, like I said, they'll get you for terms before they get you for cuss words. And I'm like, I'm learning.
I'll give you 14 cents, man.
Hey, actually, it might not even be that because as I dodge one way not to get demonetized, I run into another. It's like, I can't win sometimes. Like last night, I did the Power Ranger stuff, though I knew we were getting demonetized for that, and I knew it was coming. And sure, should you not? 5 minutes later, I get an email from YouTube. You cannot be monetized for this. I'm like, yeah, but I had to show that though because I could not drive home the Power Rangers point without showing you the actual stuff. All right, it is 6:10. We're going to go ahead and hit play. All right, for those of you who are going to be watching along with us. We are starting at negative 114.12. So for everybody else, if you want to do the other one, we're a minute and 35 in. We have skipped the previews, and if you're right along with us, all you see right now on your screen is snow. All right, so I'm going to count down from 3, and we're going to go 3, 2, 1, play. Ooh, love that. Victory is celebrated in light, but it is won in darkness.
Anybody?
What's up, man?
You can get a timestamp?
Negative 113.21.
Just started. Okay.
Yeah, I just hit play at 16.
New Dune movies. or is this kind of like just a singular sort of Dune, a one-off kind of thing?
Nah, it's a predecessor to the Dune movies.
Okay, but it's linked to the current Dune movies.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Like I tried to say yesterday, I don't know if you read it or not. Dune is just a continuation of our timeline, Brad.
I think I might have seen that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
it's a continuation of the really real world's timeline, like 100,000 years in the future.
Mm. Well, it definitely looks like they put about as much money as they did into the new Dune movies.
Other than a really good idea to do it right after the Penguin, they're probably trying to make people realize about Dune 2 for the Oscars, maybe.
Yeah, I can see that.
I really lost interest in the Dune series once Paul Atreides croaked.
You're talking about the books, right?
Yes.
Well, and apparently he's for anyone. I haven't read the Dune books, but I know enough about them to know that he's Paul is kind of a jackass, to put it generously.
Well, if you look at any emperor or messiah from the history of all time, even today, they're jackasses.
So, how far does this take place before the first Dune movie?
I think I heard it's 10,000 years before Paul's born.
Wow, they really span. They have a hell of a timeline span.
Just like the books.
Well, the books I knew they span like the course of like 200,000 years, but seeing it in practice is kind of different.
I swear, if I feel any worse, I'm going to go to the hospital.
Yeah, what you got? What you got, man?
I have life.
Oh,
That's what I have.
Oh, okay. Well, we all have that.
I think I'm low on blood.
Ooh, that's not good.
If you think Paul's an asshole, the Bene Gesserit and the Guild are both assholes. The biggest assholes of the universe.
Oh, it's nothing but assholes really in the Dune universe. By the way, William. Oh yeah, here we got. I love these sandworms. I love these sandworms. I mean, those what in scale are they comparable to? I mean, like there's not. I mean,
I
they're
don't
like
know exactly.
A
but-
blue whale?
no, way bigger. They're way bigger than a blue whale.
I don't know. Blue whales are pretty
And-
freaking big.
Yeah, but
they're not. There's different interpretations of it, the way they're drawn.
no, this
no
is
way
like a skyscraper that burrows through the sand.
Do you know how big blue whales are, Brad?
Yeah, like 100 feet long. This is the sandworms in Dune are significantly larger than that. Okay, Aaron, that's unfortunate, but yeah, we were just talking about this the other night that Max is not catching it, has still not caught up. It didn't have the ideal rollout and whatnot. So
Actually, in the Dune movies, they're smaller than any other Dune interpretation I've ever seen. There's actually different sizes of them.
by the way, William, one thing I did want to ask, is with the Gladiator 2 coming out this weekend. Did you want to like are we playing? Was there anything Gladiator related we were planning on doing? Any of that? Were we planning like watching the first one to lead in, or what?
I don't know. I was fighting with it, but I don't know if I'm gonna have the time. But I'll have to figure it out.
I feel you. I feel you.
The Tra must flow.
Yes, it must.
I'm purposely ignoring that shit. But thank you anyway.
I think in future Dune adaptations they should rename the spice to the Tra, because we gave it a better name on here.
No, we didn't.
It's like the Tra extends life. The Tra expands consciousness. The Tra is vital in space travel.
They misspelled word.
It's a cooler word than spice. Or melange, or whatever. The official name is melange. No, Tra is way better. Tra's way better. Come on.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Sisterhood is a real enemy because yes. Yeah, one thing.
Oh, and so is the Guild if they show it in this series.
Yeah, one thing I kind of picked up on, like once, like when, the new Dune, like when part one of the new Dune is coming out. Like I said, I haven't read through like the whole series, but it's like I'm familiar enough with the universe to kind of and William, have you heard this comparison made before that Dune is basically Game of Thrones in space?
A lot more complex than Game of Thrones, but I could see the comparisons.
Do you think it provided any influence to Game of Thrones?
I don't know. I think he was more, believe it or not, as absurd as this sounds, I think he was more inspired by Tolkien. I don't see the similarities, but I've always heard that was what his inspiration was. But he could have been. Frank Herbert would have been reading these books as he was coming into age. So yeah,
I'm telling you.
Well, Frank Herbert was kind of like the Middle East and the oil.
Yeah,
that was his inspiration for Dune, because spice is an allegory for oil.
Well, oil expands consciousness, as we all know, of course. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm telling you though. I am telling you.
Expands greed is what it does.
Yeah, I'm telling you though. I'm telling you, George R.R. Martin. I'm telling you, he's got that written in his will. It's like he's got those last books of Game of Thrones written, and he's just it's stipulated in his will. These will not be published until after I pass away. I'm telling you, he's trolling.
Most people don't care about that book now.
I'm telling you though that would be the trolliest thing you could ever do.
He could release it tomorrow. People, Game of Thrones for most people is the TV show. The book,
it'd still be a hell of a troll. It'd still be a hell of a troll.
Oh no, the biggest troll ever would be him releasing the book and it just opens up and says "F you."
No, that'd be more like an Andy Kaufman's role. Did they just keep the sets from the movies and just use them for the show? Because they look pretty similar.
It's possible. That'd be the smart thing to do.
Because it seems like they, they definitely poured quite a budget into the show. So, does it say anywhere what the budget for the show was?
I don't know if this show is before or after they outlawed all machines.
No, I'm talking about like the production of the like the making of the show. Like when was the what was the budget for it? Let me see.
Yeah, they had a fight with machines, and it went badly for everyone. So they just decided no more computers, and they went to Mentats.
That sounds like such a fairy tale to me.
Well, this is science fiction.
They had to keep at least some machines around because what are they going to play Gonapath on? That was awfully violent. Clint, did I ever mention to you or mention on here that when I first saw the first Dune movie, like the '84 one, I think I was 10 or 11, and I just kind of caught it in passing on the Disney Channel. I have no idea how it ended up. I have no idea how it ended up on there, but it was on the Disney Channel when I first saw it. I didn't see the whole thing that day. I just like caught like the first probably like 20 minutes of it, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?"
Well, the first movie, the one with Kyle MacLachlan,
Yeah,
it was off, but it got the gist right of the books.
well, yeah, but it's also not Disney. It's not Disney. It's not like, and I don't even mean like it's not just Disney produced, but it's also just it's not. It doesn't. It's thematically, it's not something you would associate with Disney.
Well, neither is Saving Private Ryan, but that was an Amblin movie, which was associated with me. So
It's never been shown on the Disney Channel, to my knowledge. I don't know how you could do that.
Well, there's nothing in Dune it's a bad G-rated movie that's dated, so it's really it's safe to show.
The original is G-rated?
It basically, for all intents and purposes, is. There's nothing in it that a kid could watch. I watched it as a 10-year-old.
Look that up.
Except for the knife fight at the end.
Yeah, which is by virtue of what was coming out in the 80s, kind of tame.
It's also really cut up too. The original. It's pretty kind of infamously.
It's really long.
Well, yeah, but it was going to be longer.
Well, I enjoyed it. I liked it. Mm-hmm. It got me to read the books. In fact, a lot of movies get me to read the books afterwards.
See, for me, once I see the movie, I'm never going back to the book. I'm the exact opposite. I had already read some of these books in school because we were forced to read them in the first and second grade. That's the only way I read Herbert, by force.
So really, you've never gone back and like read the book after? Because I do that all the time. I mean, something's based on the source material, or whether it's a book or
the source material to me. I used to do that before, and I realized when I'm watching a movie, that's what I'm watching. That's what I want to see. I'm reading a book. It's two different forms of entertainment, and I don't go backwards. I only care for the most part how it culminates. I don't. The source material doesn't mean a lot to me. I know that a lot of people do it that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if and I learned my lesson with The Stand. The little 4-part miniseries was, I read both and I watched that, and I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I am a visual person.
Well, you can watch the Stand miniseries in about an eighth of the time it would take to read the book, too.
Yeah, I am for me, a book is to create an image in my mind. The image is already there when I'm watching the movie. So
yeah, because there's no like right or wrong. But yeah, it's just something I feel like Jurassic Park. That's probably the first example.
yeah, I would never. I can barely sit through those movies. I damn sure wouldn't. Nothing against Michael Crichton.
Well, the books are way. They're way like the first Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park is definitely, because I love it. I grew up with it, but it's definitely a very and even he said it's like it's almost like the cliff notes of the book basically. Because he co-wrote the movie. He co-wrote the first one.
Yeah. I'm a get to the point guy. I don't need that much description. Like, Stephen King, I don't need 30 pages of description for something you can show me in 2 minutes.
Well, I do agree with you. They're two different forms of entertainment, but I enjoy both of them.
Oh yeah, and like you said, everybody's different. I'm just like, I don't read too much these days unless I have to, because it's time consuming, and for the most part, reading is not the pace that I want to intake the entertainment. I want it at the speed that the visual industry can give it to me.
I hate when they use British accents in sci-fi. Who made the British in the future?
Well, not only that, but who made them British in like in ancient Rome and Gladiator? I mean, no, come on, it's a compliment, really, because it's like anytime you want to create a shorthand or create like create a way to represent a society, past or future, as being very cultured and very erudite, so you give them a British accent.
The Bene Gesserit and the Guild are all about control. The Guild wants to control space. The Bene Gesserit wants to control the leaders.
I thought that I thought something was really cool. In some of the fight scenes in the first end, it looks like they're carrying over here is this new technology where this kind of force field technology people can wear, so they can spar, with like at full contact without gear and without hurting each other at the same time. I mean, that's of course the martial arts nerd in me talking, but that'd be the man of.
Well, that's why they use knives instead of guns.
Yeah.
Because knives can go through the shields because they're slow, but guns won't because they're fast.
But it's like, man, if we had that now, it's like, again, it's like then it's like, just imagine like the kind of just what you could do in training, what you do in sparring, with just no risk of anybody getting hurt. Somebody get on that, please. These force fields that you put on your belt, like turn it on. It's like throw a kick at somebody's head, and it won't. It'll just bounce right there. It won't hurt them. You can do as fast as you can, or use knives or swords the same way.
So, awesome. If you're using a force field and something hits the force field, what's holding the force field up, and will you feel it through the force field?
What's holding the force field up? The force field generator.
Okay.
I'm assuming that it responds and it's powered by kinetic energy. So
Yeah.
as it's moving and as it's being hit, it's redistributing and it's collecting and redistributing that energy. So that's what I'm assuming.
Well, and that's
right. I'm just bringing up an argument because it's like force field. Okay, something has to hold the force field up, and if it takes damage, that force is going to go through the force field to whatever's holding up the force field. But like you said, if it just disperses it,
yeah, and you could design it to account for that. That was also
well, not just disperses. I'm assuming that it collects and holds like a battery in order to redistribute it or use it as it needs to. So as I'm like if I'm punching you on the force field, that kinetic energy is being collected. And then
it's spread across the force field,
and it's being used to power the force field, either in real time or as it's happening.
So like the kinetic energy that it's absorbing is like what the force field's protecting you from is kind of its own power source.
Yeah,
that's
kind of like a solar power, but force.
Yeah, well, and because that was when I was a kid, I kind of brought this up. We did the Independence Day watch party. With the force fields that the alien ships have, and you have the part where Will Smith walks up to the one ship that crashes in the desert. And I remember as a kid thinking, it's like, okay, so why does he not get fried when he walks up there? And it's like, okay, force fields. He's just walking up to it, so the force field, he's not.
The
producing
ship is malfunctioned. The ship is no longer
true,
connected to the collective force field. Once it crashed that way, once that ship was not functioning anymore, it no longer had the benefit of the connection to that force field. Because remember, the force field, all their force field power came from the mothership.
Yeah, from one. Well, not only that, but also because he's walking into it, he's not producing enough kinetic energy for the force field to activate and disperse all that energy.
Well, when they were hovering, it's still effective. So I think it has more to do is that once that ship was broken from the main mothership, that it had no way to.
No. Okay, no, I'm talking about in the when he crashes when like the alien comes out and he punches out the alien, says, well, it's like, and I used to think as a kid, well, why did him walking up the force field, why did that not trigger the force fields? Because
the force field is down. Once the ship crashed, the force field is no longer in effect.
Okay.
Once the ship is damaged, it's linked to the mothership was damaged.
Oh, this is cool. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just watching some of this training here. This is cool because I can tell they're basing that right there. It's on an exercise called push hands. It's called pushing hands. It's used in a lot of different Chinese martial arts. It's most closely associated with Tai Chi, and it's a drill basically where you just kind of meet at the wrists and you just very gently kind of push back and forth. And the idea with that, it's developing. It kind of turns your arms a little bit, almost. It gives them kind of like an antenna quality to them, where you're able to kind of really sense the flow and kind of read another person's limbs. And you do that long enough, you can really it really assists with things like flow.
You're ahead of us. You're
Sorry.
talking about things that haven't happened on the screen yet. I think you're about a couple of seconds ahead of us.
Okay.
I just realized that when I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Are you seeing it now? Are you seeing it now with them?
Yeah, you just wrapped up.
Yeah, so this is what they're doing right there. This is called pushing hands. It's used a lot of different forms of Chinese martial arts, and mainly people associate with Tai Chi, but it's used in a lot of different things. And it looks really soft in practice, but that once you learn how to do it, you can build that into like really hard, intense striking. And
the Chinese did exist in this universe.
Man, this is a fun episode to watch because it's like they're actually putting lots. I like the martial arts nerd in me is like seeing like so much that they've put into like the Bene Gesserit training. Like, that horse stance training they're doing there with the arms outfolded. The only thing that's missing there, like put a couple of iron rings around the wrists. That'd be like right out of Hungar. Yeah, William's looking at me. Like, no, this is sci-fi, and they put the stuff in sci-fi, so I can talk about it. They put it into the context of a sci-fi property, William. So I'm allowed to talk about it on here.
Yeah, but you're going places where nobody's gonna fucking understand.
I might know. Listen, I might try to turn this into a couple of features. It's like I
There's
might
people
actually.
right now that are looking at this screen cross-eyed, wondering what did that man
No,
just
no. Listen, I may try to spin a couple of features out of this now because out of Dune Prophecy, what is the Bene Gesserit's training rituals? What are those based on? It's like, oh, I can tell you what they're based on. Was Denny Villeneuve, was he involved with the show at all? So look at the credits here.
He is a executive producer because it's based on the versions of the characters that he presented. I don't know how directly tied he is. I don't think very much, but it's still done in his vision.
So he's not like on set every day, but it's like just
No. This was an HBO thing, as far as I know. I know he was an advisor because it literally derives from the story he's telling, but I don't know how much day-to-day operation.
And they just ask, okay, how do we sync this up with what you did in the two movies?
Or they just looked at the movies and said, okay, we see what you did here, and here's where we're gonna go, type of thing. You could definitely see his fingerprints all over it, but I just don't know how active he was.
Oh, and that's why I think that's why I'm wondering, like, did they just maintain the sets, or did they like build these sets concurrently, for the movies and for Dune Prophecy?
It may be a little bit of both because they didn't skimp on this show. Once again, if you're on an HBO show at 6 Eastern, 9 Pacific, then you got the money. Somebody else suffered this far; they didn't get their budget. But if you're on a Sunday night show on HBO, you got the money. They found that money.
Oh yeah. There's Mark Strong here. I'm telling you, God, man, say what you will about the Green Lantern movie. He was an awesome Sinestro. I'd still love to see like a full villains.
I'll say it. I'll say it sucked.
Okay, but come on, he was great as Sinestro. Come on, I'd still love to see like a full like Sinestro villain performance on his part.
Later on, they really didn't need to have that in that movie, but later on, I would agree. I would love to see Sinestro and his whole backstory, but it was ill placed in that movie. No matter how good he was in it, it just shouldn't have been there, and a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been in that movie.
I think that was kind of like maybe the kind of the problem I ran into is it was so focused on the origin story that it kind of sacrificed a lot for like telling. It kind of felt obligated to like be like kind of a standard or superhero origin story, and it's like it didn't really get into the weeds as much and like seeing Green Lantern in action as a member of the Green Lantern Corps. It's probably one of the things that probably was kind of came to its detriment. It's like I think it's all right. It's like it's not one of the worst superhero movies ever made. It's not one of the best. It's not one of the worst.
It's one of the worst.
It's not one of the worst, William. We've seen worse ones come out this year.
Man, I can't wait for this plane to take off.
Catch a flight somewhere soon, man?
It's the demonetization train. Don't worry about it.
We're not playing anything.
No, but his airline is not YouTube friendly. Hint, hint.
Oh. So you're doing the. I wasn't aware you're getting off flight tonight, man. So you're sitting like in the plane, like as it's like on the runway, not taking off.
I hadn't given it much thought on that, but yeah, sure.
You guys are just screwing with me for this is like an inside conversation. I'm only given like 20% of the information to.
No, Brett, I just can't say it because I don't want William to lose his 14 cents.
He's gonna lose money because you mentioned that you're on a plane.
If I say the airline,
Well, don't say the airline. Just say I'm on a plane.
He did. That's what he said.
You can say you're on a plane without mentioning the name of the airline. Or say you're on a helicopter. Or say you're on a yacht cruise. All kinds of ways you can do it, man.
if I was on a yacht cruise, no matter how bad I felt, I'd have a fishing rod off the end of it. I have two hobbies that don't mix at all: fishing and computer games.
Oh, okay. Okay. William just clarified to me. And yes, that would get us demonetized, so we'll just leave it. Let's just say, he's on he's on a aircraft of some kind. Star rocket flights, light, yes. Well, and by the way, William, essentially, I was thinking about this the other day because essentially I pulled this off. Like we managed to make this all work. Like trying to do Comic-Con next year. I just realized it'll be the first time I've been on an airplane. It'll be my first time on an airplane in 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot has changed.
I haven't been on a plane in 30 years, but when I was going on planes, I went around the world.
Yeah.
Like if you were to draw a line from Boston to LA, I've been there. I've also been to Tokyo, and I've also been to the Philippines.
Close furthest that direction I've been
I
is
really want to
Hawaii.
go to Tokyo. And I wish
Yeah,
I
me
could
too.
go in January for Wrestle Kingdom, but
Yeah. Hong Kong. I got to get out there someday. I got to get to Hong Kong. Really, I got to get to the Asian continent.
I would not go to Hong Kong ever.
Why not?
It's part of China now.
It's been part of China since China has existed.
No, but you had the colonization agreement that lasted till 1996, 1997 that expired. And before that, even though it was part of China, it was autonomous. It was ruled by the United Kingdom, by the British. They ruled that. It had a 100-year agreement, a treaty, and that once the treaty wrapped up, then China, mainland China, took control of everything about it. That's why so many people left.
Well, I was aware of that.
But technically, part of China, governmental-wise, it was not a part of China until 1996.
Well, even now, Hong Kong, the way I put it is like Hong Kong is part of China, kind of in the same way that Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Oh, no.
That was a bad
You are
one.
so wrong.
That was bad. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. China is actually, other than that treaty, was always part of China. But like I said, that treaty made it to where it wasn't for 100 years.
How do we get started talking about geopolitics on here, guys? Also, by the way,
getting on a plane to go to Asia.
Yeah. Well, also, I want to.
Because you also brought it up. You go, well, I want to go to Hong Kong.
Well, you mentioned going to Japan and the Philippines, so you brought it up, and we were just talking about.
Okay.
Got to get to Indonesia sometime too. You go to Jakarta and go to the building where they filmed the raid in.
Yes, okay, it's all my fault, Brad. You win.
Yeah. Okay, for once it's blame Clint.
Sure, go ahead.
Maybe that. Oh, I wasn't aware of this either. So I got the Wikipedia for this up. This is based on Great Schools of Dune by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. Kevin J. Anderson, maybe he's not where he is. That guy's a very prolific author, and he's written a lot of sci-fi novels. He's written he's and a lot of them are entries into things like Star Wars and Dune and X-Files, but he's also done he's gone to the comics world. He wrote, if you haven't read Last Days of Krypton, he wrote the book Last Days of Krypton. That's a great book. That's an awesome book, because that's basically like the lead up to the destruction of Krypton before Superman is sent to Earth. And it's got Jor-El and General Zod as kind of like the main pillars of it. That is a great book. China took full control of Hong Kong, said to flee to the UK. And yes. Oh, I'm well aware. I'm well aware of. That's actually why a lot of filmmakers and a lot of stars for a couple of years after that they jumped over to stateside too. After that, then they kind of started going back and forth. But still, it's like I just want to see Hong Kong so bad, because I probably should get to Korea at some point too, because I almost got sent there as a kid. My dad almost got stationed there.
Yeah, Paul Atreides messed up the Bene Gesserit's plans.
Let me be quiet. I'm spoiling stuff. Stop spoiling stuff, man. So really, Aaron, though, so they don't have this because they don't have HBO Max in Australia, so they don't have. There's not like they're not releasing it on like any alternative means in Australia. There's not there's not releasing on any local streaming platforms. That is kind of weird. So I would think they would want to put this out as far as they can. If you don't have like HBO Max, you can lease it out to other platforms, internationally, if the other territories don't have it. They do that all the time. I don't know why they're waiting on that for this.
Most of the things you think I'm talking are spoilers are from the Dune 1 and Dune 2 movies. And we watched them, I think, didn't we?
We haven't done watch parties of those. I don't think we have.
Not yet. But if you're watching this show and you don't know about Dune, you're probably. I can't save you from a spoiler.
Well, the first one's like we're 3 years removed from it anyway, so it's like, yeah, if you're getting spoiled on that,
been around since the 50s. So. Gross child marriage here.
Okay, he'll come back from that.
Why
strangulation and
yeah, come on, guys.
I don't know if he's a good or a bad guy in this series, but he always plays a really good guy. Good bad guy.
And Paul Atreides, or are you talking about Mark Strong?
I don't know his name, but he's playing. I think he's the Emperor in this series.
He's Emperor Javico Corina. The bald dude. That's Mark Strong. He was also really good at Savannah too. He really dug him as Savannah in Shazam. They have it on binge. It said, but when I look at it, to just watch it, it said nothing about binge. There has been no promotion. Okay, that's weird. Someone's dropping the ball on that. That's crazy. I understand why they're probably gonna have a lot of pissed off Dune fans in Australia. Like, what the hell? We were told this was going to be here, and it's not. Is that what kind of one of the is that one of the big streaming platforms is called Binge in Australia? Like I know that I think one of the big ones in the UK that's called Sky, isn't it? Replay will happen. Okay. Oh, they're talking about Yellowstone in those comments. Yeah, William, Aaron's going. She says they have it on Binge in Australia, but when she went to look at it, said it's not there, and there's been no promotion of it in Australia. That sounds really weird to me.
It doesn't. It probably won't be there live. It probably will be there like a day after or something like that. You got to realize the one thing HBO Max messed up with, or Max messed up with, is that they had pre-existing license agreements that were years and years ahead of us, and they didn't renegotiate those when they started to distribute the platform. So you have different contractual obligations in different countries that are still in place instead of having one blanket thing like all the other streamers do. That's one of the things that they really messed up on. So you might not get it live like we're watching now, but you would get it,
so she'll get it. Okay, so be able to see but still, it's like.
Yeah, it's probably contractual agreement that they cannot give it to you live.
But still, it's angering because my baby sister can't be on the panel. It's like
There's probably
it's causing like family problems, which I don't accept. Nobody's screwing over my baby sister in Australia. That I just realized I had it.
Warner Brothers is doing it as we speak, so it's really nothing I can do.
Look at their stock real quick too, because I bet it's. Yeah, $9.22. Yeah. $9.22. They are, at this rate, they'll be out of the red in about 400 years. It's animal cruelty. Stabbing that little robo gecko.
Well, that answers that. This is after the thinking machine revolution.
Binge is a smaller streaming service. They should have done an agreement with Netflix, Australia, New Zealand. Yeah, I agree. A little bit of a, and actually, kind of on that point, Clint. This is from the Wikipedia page. Is in the development section. In November 2024, Shapker, I guess is one of the showrunners, explained that the series would explore multiple time periods with the characters' pasts adapted from the Great Schools of Dune novel trilogy and the present timeline original to the television series. Okay, that's kind of a first with Dune. Oh, and apparently Denny was actually going to originally direct the first 2 episodes of the show, but he just was he just couldn't make that commitment because he was directing Dune Part 2, so he had to step out of it. So yeah, Jonah Rank ended up being the director of the first 2 episodes. As all the Warner Brothers stuff has been spread throughout a whole stack of streaming services here, like Binge, Amazon, and Netflix.
Yeah, because those are all pre-existing contracts that existed before HBO and Max existed. So now you're just basically getting the distribution.
And they haven't, updated those agreements at all.
They have to negotiate those agreements. Those, everything has to be negotiated.
And they've no endeavor to do that yet.
Well, they may have, but it's the other companies that it may not be beneficial for those companies that have those existing contracts to do anything. It may take away from their fold by doing so. So they're going to drag their feet.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's, are there any pros and cons to that as far as like their content being split up among different streaming platforms internationally?
Not really. For the people who have the stuff, yeah, because they can integrate it into their formats. Once those agreements go up, it all becomes HBO Max. HBO Max and HBO Warner Brothers has 100% control when, how, and what is presented. Right now, those companies that have the content but don't have contracts with Max have a little bit more autonomy and more freedom. But once that goes away, it's all gonna be corporate straight from the head. And there's a lot of money involved in that. There's a lot of ad revenue involved in that. If you're a local streaming service, if you're depending on that ad revenue and that goes straight to you per licensing agreements, there's going to be people losing out on agreements and money. So it's complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the byproduct of like how internationally, how much this is all expanded in terms of the international market. Still, I don't accept my baby sister getting screwed, guys. I don't accept that. Cheating her. She could be on here right now with us. Not for This nonsense. They fix this. Warner Brothers, HBO and MAX, fix this. I'll be right back, guys.
I didn't know the Imperium had techno.
We only get to the end. Oh, have you seen it already, Antonio? Like, William, you seen this episode yet? Okay. Says the pile is better than the pile of the. Okay. Well, the Penguins. Okay, that's some high praise, man, because the Penguins pretty good. So Clint, stuff that also I was kind of thinking about, since the show and this franchise and this universe all take place over several centuries and several thousand years. So kind of wonder, like, in this kind of landscape today, where like a lot of people going into these IP based franchises, they kind of like, you're expecting like cameos or connective tissue sort of peppered throughout. And this, I'm guessing, is not something that really facilitates that very well because of how big the time gaps are. So I don't know. I mean, is there like what's like the shortest distance between like any like two Dune properties that you're familiar with?
I really don't. I just know they happen over a long period of time. Um, and it's also an allegory of the times he was living in, with oil shortages and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, and it's just it's whatever you want to make of it, but that's generally what the scholars and historians and people have said. It's more of an allegory about oil and the people that run the oil. And
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I'm just kind of something I've always kind of wondered, though. Again, now that's releasing into where we are now, the whole cinematic universe era, and because of how like the time period that the whole story or the whole collection of stories takes place over, you're not going to see like cameos setting up crossovers and things like that. So kind of part of that kind of makes me wonder, like particularly like the younger generation watching this, or they wonder what their thoughts are.
no, there's not going to be any cameos from the
Hmm.
movies to hear. I mean, you'll still hear Carino, you'll still hear Atreides, you'll still hear Harkonnen, and what other families they want to dream up. But that's it. You aren't going to see Paul, or you ain't going to see, the Baron and all that.
Thank you. Aaron says the issue with binge here is that it's the most expensive streaming services we have here, and just recently there was announcements. Oh, really? Well, that sucks. Hopefully they get that sorted out, so you guys don't keep getting cheated on stuff like this coming from stateside Australia.
Can't you VPN your Max, or do they even have Max in Aussie?
No, they don't. That's they don't have Max in Australia. I mean, I suppose if you're going, could you do that, William? Like use a VPN and like set up a Max account internationally that way?
I assume so. I'm not real good when it comes to VDMs.
Okay. How's it going, Droga? Oh, first time? Very first time. We just did a watch party that like 2 weeks ago, man. Like, should have jumped aboard for that with us. You hadn't seen Predator yet.
I think the first 3 books, Dune, Messiah, and whatever, are until Paul is just one lifetime. And then after that, it gets really, really weird. Where they do clones and have to kill people, and it just gets weird and stupid. And it's like, okay, you blew your load, Frank.
HBO and MAX is everything. They got a few more where that happens. Yeah, and they'll probably have a new owner by that time. That's what's so crazy about this, William, is like they still haven't fully rolled out internationally. And like Antonio was saying, they still got a few more years for HBO Max, what you call it, is properly available internationally. It's like, yeah, by the time that happens, that's when they're gonna have their newest owner. But that talk about like a clumsy rollout where like you have to go through like 3 different sets of owners before it's properly the streaming service is properly released internationally. It's so nuts. That's so crazy.
There's also another thing, Brad, that you might not have considered. They might not have the infrastructure to provide the service to Australia or wherever.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's like I couldn't answer that question offhand because I'd need to know about that.
Well, it's just an option of, why it isn't someplace and why it is someplace else. Because it takes a lot of bandwidth to show this everywhere, and bandwidth costs money.
Well, in this case, it's going to be purely contractual. There's purely contractual because of the pre-existing contracts that existed before HBO Max existed, and the opt-ins and the opt-outs. And like I said, there are people who are giving up money in order to cede control over to, back to HBO Max. Now that there's something in an umbrella to be under, there are people who have contracts, and then those people have contracts. So if you're watching it on a streaming service and you have an ad tier service, you're losing out on that revenue once the HBO Max assumes priority over it.
Oh, here it says, years ago, people for overseas tried to do the VPN. The HBO Max, but it didn't work because they knew that what was going on. It was during the Snyder Cut. So people were trying to use VPNs to get the Snyder Cut.
Well, a lot of people are using VPNs for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. It's occurred to me. I've never used a VPN, and they're advertised over here all the time. Brad, of course, still have anywhere by the time. Hopefully, be one owner, not the other. I agree. Totally agree.
All right. This show is I'm gonna have to have some patience with this show, because there's a lot of place setting in here that takes time, and hold on, I'm gonna skip to the
making of after the credits.
Well, no, I want to see the actual previews. Usually they give you a preview. Here we go.
Yeah, I agree with you, William. I'm going to have to watch this again.
Well, especially because we're hearing like they're leaders of the Imperium. Now I need to go back and find all the Rebel Moon Easter eggs that I didn't know about until I found out the Imperium was going to be part of this.
Oh, that joke didn't land the first time, dude. It did what?
It did. You just don't want to admit it.
It was a joke?
I choose to see it that way.
Are you going to Sister Kim's tonight?
They're closed on Sunday.
Closed.
No, they're closed. Okay. That's a shame because their burger's pretty good.
I knew that dumb joke was coming too.
I could do this all night.
He saw that coming down Maryland Parkway.
Yeah, just I suspected, but I didn't give a damn.
The motorcycle people were making donuts around that joke.
It sounds like William's got plenty of them out in the parking lot there.
Not tonight.
Were they doing that? Were they doing that? What, like last night? Were they like?
Nah, it was just one guy with a motorcycle making noises, but everybody today it's been kind of tame. Metro's been all over here though.
Well, my show ended.
Yeah, I'm just watching the previews real quick.
Yeah, I'll watch them when I rewatch the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to rewatch it because, like I said, there's a lot of details there. All right, so that was Dune. That was Dune Prophecy, episode 1. I don't know how I feel about it yet. The pacing has me wanting to tear my eyes out and reattach them, but I know that it's all for a purpose. So I don't feel like my time has been wasted. I understand how complex this IP is. Even though we've had 2 movies to get you used to the atmosphere, there's a lot of intrigue. And this was one of those series to where the movie, it was more friendly to people who had never really picked up a Dune book. You could pretty much any type of political intrigue if you watch that. This is on that same realm, but it's a little bit more detailed, and there's a lot more going on in that hour and whatever we just watched than there is in Dune. Dune is basic, lays it out there, and you go do your own research. Here, I think you need to be a little bit more familiar, with a lot of the things going in and out. And like I said, I don't mind, I know it because I read a lot of this stuff, but I wonder if the new viewer is going to be willing to do the work to enjoy this show, because I do think you need to know, you need to have not in depth, you don't need to be expert about Dune. You need to have a better understanding than just, jumping in this show. So this is not a good jumping point for people, in my opinion. I think this is something you can watch if you understood, at least Dune 1 and 2. And when you saw those movies, you went and you did a little bit more research on House Hogan, all the names that you heard, because now here they are again. A lot of these names that are in this last hour are very recognizable, but there's a lot more history and a lot more detail I think you may need to know. Other than that, I love the show is beautifully done. It looks stunning. The effects that like I said, HBO did not skimp on this show. I'm gonna be patient with this show. I mean, if I gave Peacemaker up till episode 4 before I was about to give up on that show, this show has a lot of potential to it. It's gonna, like I said, I'm gonna have to like be watching it with subtitles and shit, because they're doing a lot of whispering, they're doing a lot of this and that, and there's a lot of things that they don't really go into depth with. So I expect the next episode to be just the same exact way. Because there's a lot. They're setting up something big. They're setting something up something big and grand. And whenever you do that, it takes time to do that. You're basically telling a cinematic story within an hour. So far, so good. But like I said, I am concerned if a lot of people are going to be like, my head hurts. What's going on? Who are these people?
I kind of felt the same way about what was that series? The Watchmen. I'm like, what the hell is this squid?
Yeah. And here's the thing, though, with Watchmen, it enhanced it if you knew about the squid and all that other stuff, but it wasn't necessary. Here, I think you might want to at least do some YouTube videos, because there's a lot, or read some YouTube videos. Watch them. There's a lot of them that gives you the basic understanding. Like if you just wanted to, you want to do a brief history other than what you already know about House Harkonnen, you can do that, and you would probably be better for it coming into this, because like I said, they're laying out a tapestry that has not necessarily connected with everyone in the past, but is necessary to tell the story. Everything that they told you, and it's like you have to have it. There's nobody, there's no wasted characters here. There are just some characters that are just, you need to understand what and who they are to understand their importance, and sort of not necessarily anticipate things, but give yourself a better understanding about, okay, not being lost. Because I could see this show losing people, not because of its quality, but because of
the pace,
the pace and the familiarity,
the density of it.
Yeah, there's just a lot.
Aaron says WD is trash. Well,
you just randomly say that, or is that what? I mean, what do we?
We're talking about like again how they keep cheating my baby sister here, and it's like, Aaron, that means,
but once again.
But it's like the last.
Most of that is not even going to be WB. It's going to be those companies that are not going to want to disrupt their clears.
Well, and WB before they were WB Discovery, the previous administration, to slightly steal a joke from Chris Rock. I mean, they were like, WB back then was toxic waste. So
yeah, but like I said, this, if you have places like Canada had Crave, all these, and if you have something that's beneficial in place of what they're selling you, then you're going to keep that as long as you can. You're not going to renegotiate that. If I was in Australia and I'm pulling in the money from the ads that are coming in from the ad tier base, I'm not giving that back to Warner Brothers. I mean, that might suck for somebody in Australia, of course, but in this case, you have to have two sides to negotiate. and they're never Australia. Their services are never going to come out on top when it's a Warner Brother IP that they want to take back. They're going to try to fend that off as long as they can because they're drawing revenue from it. So, especially if it's a pricey one. No, I don't do fan films, guys. I know, not a knock on the fans who make them and quality and all that. I don't do fan films. I'm either watching the IP or I'm not. So if I'm watching Dune, I'm watching it from the people who make Dune. I don't have any time or use for a Dune fan film. No matter how good it is, because it's not canon. It's not the thing. It's somebody else's. It's what somebody else wants the thing to be, which is fine. But I, as a consumer, I don't watch fan films for, as a rule. Let's see. They're doing that now. They're actually making up the gift cards for Christmas.
Oh, it's good news.
And Fourth said something about brown and boring Star Wars. Dune.
Listen, but you know what? I know he's being a jackass, but if you're not if you don't have an interest in Dune,
okay,
this could bore you. But he's being a jackass. But I could while I'm watching this, I could see people who weren't a certain measure in not wanting to give it.
Well, yeah, because it's not. I mean. Because it's not a Milamit with laser sword. It's not a Milamit with laser swords and blasters in the Force, and that's it's more contemplative in its pace.
Go ahead, Clint.
Dune has been very little about the science fiction part about it, and more about the slow plotting political maneuvering. It's always been that way.
That's the story. That's literally it in DNA. Whereas Game of Thrones kind of flipped the script because there's a lot more political intrigue in Game of Thrones when you read the books, and then when you watch the show, like I said, I would rather eat the Game of Thrones books than ever read them again, especially after seeing the show and how the pacing in the show. Yeah, you have your political intrigue, and that first season is really hard to get through. But once you reach episode 9, it never turns back. It keeps a certain pace that keeps you engaged. And like I said, I'm going to give this a chance. This is worth it. Okay. No, I don't, I have no use for them. No, I mean, like I said, this is not an insult. And if you make fan films, continue. And if that's what you enjoy, continue to make them. I mean, that's a passion for you. I, as a consumer, if you're giving me Star Wars or giving me Star Trek, I want it to be the actual stuff that's going to stick. I want it to be the stuff coming from the company. I'm not, now I will support. I have supported fan films in the past, even if I didn't, like I said, most notably a couple of years ago when the guys did the Justice League one,
Project Justice League, yeah.
Yeah, but if even I told them if I had the opportunity, that we to watch the actual thing, I would. But that was for a great cause, and those guys were great guys. I mean, they did something they loved. They had fun with it. I, as a consumer, as a rule, though, with very few exceptions, I don't do fan films. Like I said, and that started with me years ago with mainly Star Trek when the whole Axanar thing happened like that. I'm like. Why no matter what happens in your fan film, it's not going to be Star Trek. It's Star Trek to you, and that's great. But as far as me, a follower of the story, I want the story from the storytellers. That's just all. It's personal preference. I don't think that makes me less of a nerd. I mean, it's just a preference, man. That's going to be a matter of opinion. I know a lot of people who will say one, and a lot of people will say the other. It all depends on
some people say Star Trek beats them both, or some people say Rebel Moon is their favorite.
That's a preferential thing. Let's see. I mean, that's an opinion. It's not Batman. Me wishing something was Batman, me dressing something up as Batman, me putting a bat emblem on it. I could do it here in the store. I can film an entire epic here and call it Batman. It's not Batman. It's not Batman unless Warner Brothers or DC Comics acquires it and says that's Batman. It's not Batman. So I'm following a story down a rabbit hole that won't relevantly mean anything in the overall course of things. Let's see. So why are we talking Batman Beyond here, man? You guys in this Batman Beyond, you to hear it from the people who have failed in 20 years to try to get this on live action, Everybody has watched Batman Beyond. More people watch Batman Beyond than watch just all the combined Super Bowl audiences. The way you hear it from these guys. When you look at the ratings and you look at the return on it, what have I said about math? I mean, if the money was there, it would have been made already. It would have been tried. They would have attempted to make it. Batman, you print money when it comes to Batman, but here's the key: if it ain't Bruce Wayne, and you haven't spent the last 10 years making a credible argument for the layman to buy a Batman that's not been Wayne, there's no money to print. So that's why we're here. Like I said, they can throw barbs at me, but where's your Batman Beyond live action movie? And then the cartoon, once again, you're talking about Warner Brothers, who doesn't want very much to do with animation and more established stuff than anything, the Batman was, Looney Tunes, stuff like that, so I don't see where the reality of that's happening either. But if it happened for you guys, you have my full support. I don't have to watch it.
Also don't want to mess up your relationship with any of the studios and any promotional stuff in the future.
About
what?
How would you be doing that?
Oh, I think he's talking about like why you don't want to play like the Batman Beyond fan film on here.
That too. My preferential reason is it's not the story, and B, yeah, you have we're presenting a product in contrast. Most fan films they turn a blind eye to that stuff, but if you have a relationship with them or you have an agreement with them where you're literally promoting the real stuff, it's probably not a good look to do it. Like I said, for a charity or something like that, it's explainable. But when you start, because a lot of times, their legal department is looking at stuff like that. They don't make a move most of the time, but you do have IP, you do have copyright lawyers that are, and they have this stuff. They sit in front of a computer and this stuff pops up and they take a look at it, and if it rises to a certain level to brand confusion, like, you may have somebody, what if I had a couple $1 million and I decided, what, I want to spend as much money on an IP as they can. Now, you have brand confusion and they don't have to allow that. Well, they made it better. No, it's not up to them. It doesn't belong to them. So they could step in at any time. That's why when some of these companies step in and shut this stuff down, people act like they're surprised. I'm like, you did so at their pleasure. You did so as long as they allowed you to do it, But yeah, we have partnership reasons. But for me, the primary reason is just preferential. If you're giving me something, I want it to be from, the something that it's supposed to be, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be Star Trek, whether it be any of the IPs, because I am a continuity guy, and there is no continuity in your fan film. There's no real continuity in your fan film. I can't take your fan film and go anywhere lengthwise with your story because it's not the real deal. It's not saying that it's bad, but when I pick up an issue of Absolute Batman, if Brad, you wrote your own fan comic or you did your own fan thing of Absolute Batman, that does me no good. I want to know what, the legitimate storyteller where he's taking the character. You're taking it to where you want it to go. I want to see where it's actually going in the context of the people who actually own the IP. And like I said, I know there's a lot of fan film people who watch the show because I get requests all the time for me to show their stuff, and I reject them all. I will always reject your fan film because once I take one on here, then I gotta justify it, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that asshole. But I get messages all the time for people who want to show that kind of stuff, and I just say no. I just have a blanket response to it. So sorry, guys. Enjoy it. If it's beautiful, it's beautiful. Continue. Do not listen to me as far as your whether you get enjoyment out of it. It's just not a Sci-Fi Center thing, and it's not a William thing. All right. So where are we at? Let's see. I'm not going to look at it at all. I have no reason to look at it at all. Like I said, I just think we're so far away from that right now because there's no money in it. You're talking about a company that's hemorrhaging money. If they're going to do something Batman, once again, they haven't done the work to make anybody outside of people who watch Batman Beyond as a kid give a shit about Batman Beyond. You just can't do it just because a couple people on the internet said this is a great. We need to. How come they haven't done it? You have to make a relevant case to, can I sell this to somebody who knows who Batman is and associates Batman with Bruce Wayne? More people will know the existence of Alfred Pennyworth than know the existence of Terry McCullough. It's just what it is, and that is your audience. That's the case you have to make. I'm not saying it can't happen. It's just we haven't done the work. You just haven't done the work. You just can't pull a Batman Beyond out of your ass and expect it not to bomb. And they are very careful when it comes to Batman anything, because that $400 million, that's the lowest you're going to earn on a Batman movie. $400 million in the modern era, excluding Batman Begins, but that led to the average. So you can kind of give that one a pass. But you can't get some unfamiliar stuff out there without spending the last 5-10 years doing it. It's not going to work. All right, let's see. DC Beyond Fan Film.
Well, what time are you doing your thing tonight?
9:30, back 2 hours from now. So, by the way, guys, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and get some rest, dude, because you get some rest, and then if you're on your flight when I come on the air, just enjoy. Pull your seat back to the relaxed position and enjoy my voice, my Cookie Monster voice. Tonight, guys, in about 2 hours, I will be giving at least one of these Batman Auras away during our Sunday night live stream. So at 9:30, we're going to do it, and I will, once the show starts, I will show you exactly how to do it. I'm going to give one away for the people who are watching live. One of you that's watching live is going to get one, and one is going to be for people who, like the majority of people, watch our show after it airs live. I mean, like 90% of our people watch it afterwards, that's fine. Whenever I'm happy you're watching me, and I'm gonna tell you how you can win one of these too. So one will be for a live audience that's watching at 9:30 Pacific time, and then one will be for people who are watching afterwards. So there'll be instructions. So on that note, I got some stuff to do. Believe it or not, I'm getting ready for Black Friday, which is next fucking week. Is it next week? Wow. It's already here. We were just at 100 degrees, what looked like yesterday, and now we're about to carve up a turkey, or in my case, put a turkey in the microwave. I will see you all who choose to return with us in 2 hours. Please like, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitter right now, please use the link that's my name there, youtube.com/Cyber Center. Or if you're watching from Twitter and you're watching the replay, if they do that, then please come over to us. I will be leaving that platform as soon as I can get full migration, or at least 75% migration, because I just want to do something better. All right, guys, I will see you at 9:30 Pacific time, and be ready to try to win one of these Batman, at least one of these Batman.
Try, everybody.
And I'll be at by the way.
In 2 try hours.
Yeah. I'm going to have to put a disclaimer. The word doesn't exist.
Yeah, well, they said
everywhere
the same thing
they use that word. Everywhere they use that word, use the word train. You want to make
they said the same thing about the Snyder Cut, and look what happened.
Train. All right. Not the same.
Traw is the Snyder Cut of words.
It is a misspelled word because somebody in the chat had a bad typing moment and hit enter.
And,
I'll see you guys at 9:30. Thank you. Thanks for the support. Bye.